Hey everybody, welcome back to an episode of the Better Humans podcast. Today I've got Josh Brown on the line. And guys, I can't like I can hype him up too much, but I'm not going to, but I just need to let you know that Josh is legit. In my world, we shoot for authenticity, integrity, useful transformation, and not just fluff and nonsense. And it is everything that Josh has built his brand, his business on. And I honestly I can't say enough about him. I've gotten to spend a ton of time with him in person at our office in Canton and also at FHL. So Josh, thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you doing today?
Jimmy, thanks for having me here. I'm looking forward to this and, dropping some, knowledge bombs on people, but also just talking with another fellow awesome human as well. Great title
Nice.
for the podcast. I love that. So
I love
love
it.
to dive in.
Are you gonna give the value away for free today? Wow, this is
Oh,
gonna be
I know,
great.
always. I'll send you an invoice later. It'll be fine. Well, I'm joking.
Deal. You
No,
got it.
I literally give a lot of it away, but I tell people it's just like all the time because the knowledge industry is kind of unique in that, with the world of YouTube and everything else, it's like there is a ton of free value, but also people should get compensated for their knowledge. Teachers aren't working for free, professors aren't working for free, any of that. So it's like you should be compensated if you're guiding somebody, but it doesn't mean you can't give taste of what you're doing and some of that knowledge out there as well.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I've got a ton of questions lined up for you today. The first thing that I'm actually super interested in hearing about is you just recently got back from a trip. You went fishing in the Gulf, and I want to hear all about it. Like, what was the biggest fish you caught? Who caught the biggest fish? Who went overboard? Anyone?
No, nobody went overboard.
Uh,
Close, but we didn't. The trips we actually do are really unique, and it actually really ties to the whole theme of this podcast. So it's actually a great intro to all of this. Is myself and one of my good buddies and also on some offers business partner Brian Delaney. He and I had this idea a while ago of like, hey, why don't we take and start hosting some fishing trips to get other entrepreneurs together and get outside, not just some stuffy conference room, with lukewarm, chicken burritos or whatever it is, and really have 3 full days to connect with people. Because it really takes about 72 hours for people to build a connection. And also then tie it around things like, going offshore. Really easy for people to unplug when you're, 5 or 6 miles offshore, not really any cell signal. Nobody's going to be taking a call then. So,
yeah.
we did that. And this is actually the second one we've done in the Gulf. And the guy who runs those for us and we go out, he's also a fellow entrepreneur. So, he's been an entrepreneur for over 35 years. So, we went out and we were tuna fishing. We went for swordfish and number of other species. And we brought home 5 gorgeous tunas and a swordfish. And part of it too is we bring it back and we cook it right then together and have a communal meal,
Okay, I was gonna ask
each
that if you
night.
guys, if it's catch and release, or you guys actually like bring it back and cook it. So that's
Certain
awesome.
things, yeah, certain things we do have to release. For example, we did catch a few, gorgeous red snappers, but they're not in season, so we're going to respect, of course, the laws and everything, and we did release those in the correct way and all of that,
Hmm.
and we had a great time out there and bonded with everybody, and it's like it's one of those things when you start having more of a connection. That's when you can talk about things in your business or something that might be stressing you out more, things like that. You can start letting your guard down because you get a feel for those people
Yeah.
and we really like to curate the experience too. So it's all people that vibe well together. We have the same faith base and all of those things. So
Yeah.
it really turns out great.
Faith-based fishing boat trip makes you think back to some stories, huh?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
guys didn't
definitely.
catch any rough sea or anything, right? Or were you
Yeah,
good?
well, you do get when we're going out. These are center console high speed fishing boats designed to go out in the Gulf. So my big booty got bounced around quite a bit a few of the times, but when my big butt goes flying, you caught some air. So we had a good time. That's part of the adventure, when we're going out on these, because we were actually fishing near the oil rigs and stuff like that.
Okay.
So we're all around those, and um, you get really to connect with nature, like the hunt of finding the fish and the process of it. Like you just don't go out and drop a gummy worm off the side of the boat and hope
Yeah.
you catch something. You have to catch the bait first, and the process of baiting up the reels and all of those things. Like it really causes you to kind of disconnect from your business for a while because you're so engrossed in it that when you do come back, you end up with you break those like mental cycles of like constantly thinking about that next thing or
Yeah.
getting interrupted because that email pops up. It's like where we were, you aren't getting any emails. Good luck. Like, we didn't
Yeah.
have a Starlink on the fishing boat, like, so we weren't, getting that. So it
Maybe
allows you
that's
to
not such
kind
a bad
of
idea next
process.
time.
Yeah, it's that was part of the thing with these adventures. We want really curated times to unplug.
Yeah,
We have another one
definitely.
coming up where we're going to the wilds of Alaska in July. Where we're doing other things too. So it's like you realize like entrepreneurs get so stuck like here behind the computer or going to things and you're still connected and you're like fitting meetings in and stuff like that because we
Yeah.
love it. It's our passion. It's our life in doing it because we're all driven to do it. It's like we are the 1% crazy who likes to do these things, but it doesn't mean you can't disconnect and be, find time to kind of have an epiphany because you're not inundated with constant pop-up notifications or, this, that, or the other thing, or, oh, I got to put out a reel today, or, those types of things. You end up having a really better experience and you actually get to know those people because it's not a snippet that's under the auspices of how can I leverage this or and not necessarily and they'll buy my stuff way, but maybe this person be good for this or that or the other thing. It's like you just
Yeah.
get to be there present in the moment.
Yeah. I miss doing a lot of things like that. And I think back to like one of my favorite one of my favorite things that I used to do a lot more of recently haven't and been meaning to get back in touch with him and go do some work with him is a buddy of mine has a nonprofit. It's called Sirens Project. And it's a disaster relief nonprofit. And so what they do is they deploy out to disaster affected areas where tornado or hurricane has affected, and they go and do disaster relief, like pull down trees, pull down limbs, hang over houses, help clear debris, just things like that for people who otherwise wouldn't have the funds or the means to be able to facilitate something like that. And when you've got like fallen trees or limbs or things like that, and you're running a chainsaw, like the only thing that you can focus on is like the saw, your safety, the limbs, like other people say, like, so it really immerses you in the moment. It also like motorcycles do this for me. Sometimes like Muay Thai and kickboxing would do this for me, but I really miss having the things that immerse you and draw your 100% focus into that point in time in that moment for various reasons. But like I'm personally in a point where I'm starting to make a bit of a shift. I've been really heads down on business for, gosh, I think it's going on like almost 5 months now. And I'm getting close to shifting into a new season of life with a new family coming in, and so I'm like, okay, now's the time. Like, what? How can I fill up me? How can I do things like go on fishing trip or like I mean, obviously, because I'm having a new baby, I'll be here. But like, my health, like my immersion, my focus, my uplifting, just things like that. And so I'm really looking forward, on my end personally, just for moments like what you've been able to go out and do with this fishing trip. But yeah, that I was really
Well, it's
jealous, and I was
yeah.
sad to not go. I'm privileged to have received an invite, and I'm really sad because I'm 1 week out from having a baby, and now it's like can't be a flight away and 5 miles off on a
No,
boat.
no, you don't want to get the call somebody's in early labor when you're 5 miles offshore at a flight in between. Yeah, that was the good
You know,
husband move. And
yeah,
I tell this to experienced people, but also even to um new new entrepreneurs and business owners is if you don't plan for those moments, they won't happen. And
yeah,
you really have to, and also particularly for those of us who are married, have kids, stuff like that, there's always something that will pop in there, and you've just got to plan for that moment. so you're able to, you know, support yourself. Because if you can't show up, with your best self to your business and your family and all of that, you're not going to be able to excel in this. And like one nugget I always tell like new people and stuff like that, particularly find a hobby or something you can do regularly, even if it's only, a couple 30 minutes an hour, a couple of times a week, that is something you like doing, but is so polar opposite of like what you do in your business, it allows you to mentally shut off. So like for me, I like before I got into this whole online thing and I grew up doing it, I did woodworking like all the time. That was what my dad
Really?
and I did. Yeah, we did. My grandfather was like a master carpenter, and my, all the guys in my family did things with their hands. And it was, so for me, that's just the piece that I can, you know, come back to because it's so polar opposite. It's just me, my
Yeah.
tools, the wood, and like, at least once a week or so, I'll fix something or decide I'll build something. Like that's where all this stuff behind me came from. Is literally I was like one day I'm like, I want to do something productive. I need to get out of my computer, so I built the entire backdrop for my studio because it was so polarly different. The phone went away, and I
Yeah.
spent a couple hours doing it. And
Wow.
like if it's painting or cooking or whatever it is, even if it's just mowing the lawn and doing the yard work, put the phone away, do something that resets your brain, you enjoy it, and then you can be able to show up better. Because if you're 100% all the time doing nothing, I see the Hermosi book behind you. That is a completely anomaly of that being able to always 100% be doing nothing but your business. That is an anomaly.
Yeah.
It's a
You're talking
universal
about him
condition.
as a person, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
His whole
I
thing of spend a decade doing nothing but grinding. Most people's mental health would suffer so horribly
yeah.
that it's not sustainable. And not only that, most people don't want to grow a $1 billion company and all the hurdles that come with it.
Well,
So
yeah, that's one thing is like I'm privileged to have been on the inside of $1 billion company from its inception all the way through to the $1 billion valuation, and I've seen
mhm.
firsthand what that does
Yep.
to, well, we'll say like founding members. Um, and it's tough. Like it is one of the most demanding things.
Yeah, and not everybody
And
wants it.
yeah, well, I mean, it made me think twice about like, because I was like, ah, man, I remember being, because I started working with like with Russell and Todd when I was 19. And I remember being like 21 or 22 or something like that. And I did the math. I like planned the business out and I did it all. And I was like, yeah, if I if all goes according to plan, I'll be a millionaire by the time I'm 23. This is great, right? and
Yeah,
then and then real life came along, and it's like the actual demands of building value, building product, building offer, building marketing, building advertising, and like like everything. And it's like, oh my gosh, like this is insane. Like you almost need other people. You need more than yourself in order to build something like that. I think Alex has that. He just like
yeah.
doesn't.
But even with that, I'm
Yeah.
talking about like his quotes of like, because I do something in the business. I skipped my friend's wedding. I haven't been on a vacation in years, and all of those things. I'm like, to me also is, and I'm going to throw a big honking stone here in a second. He may be married, he's married to his business partner, doesn't have kids, and Katie doesn't want them. Is that if you're with most spouses, that won't fly. And if that's the way you're showing up, also as a dad, you're going to be one really crappy dad. And so to me, that's where I come in with it is don't set your level of expectation off of other people's
Hmm.
goalpost. Set your own, because like I deal with
Yeah.
people all the time that are already in season 2 of their life and maybe on business 2 or 3, and they've been down that road of giant teams and all the things go with it and everything else, and they're like, if I'm making $1 million a year, I'm cool. Like if I have
Yeah.
8, 10 employees, I'm making a solid mill bottom line at the end of the year. I'm taking a couple of weeks off, every couple of months. Cool. they're enjoying their life. Like to me, that if that's your goalpost, great. But if you do have aspirations of building $1 billion company with the team and all of those things go along with it, cool, strive for that too. But just realize, like, I was actually listening to like Dave Ramsey earlier. Like, don't agree with all of his stuff,
Me
but
neither.
he was talking about how he grew Ramsey Solutions and like bootstrapped from the beginning and the seasons he went through with that. But he's like, yeah, he works like 3 or 4 hours a day. That's his thing, and he has for decades now. Like he does, and he only does the stuff he likes to do just because he built his empire that way.
Yeah.
It's like you can build them meeting your own situation and what you'd like to do, and be perfectly fine. It's like, yes, you have to find somebody who is where you want to be, and built it in a way that you find copacetic.
hmm
That's the big
that's
thing.
what I decided to do kind of personally on my end was, and I mentioned like I've been like like really heads down on the business side of things for about
Yeah,
5 months now, right? So it was the turn of the year, and we knew we were having the baby, and I thought to myself like, man, if I put my head down, really serious, and I mentally decided that I was going to forsake something like I already was trying to help my wife as much as I could and like take care of the baby at night. And it was like, well, if I just like don't go work out or like don't worry about like cooking and preparing my own like healthy food or anything like that, I was like, if I just turned all of that off and said I'll pick it back up
yeah,
when it's time. I like gave myself a box to be unhealthy or unbalanced, and now like it's
yeah.
finally that pendulum is swinging back this way. I worked out yesterday, or sorry, I worked out
Good for
Monday.
you.
I'll be working out today, eating better food, drinking 100 ounces of water. It's just like I'm starting to feel better now, which is great.
Yeah.
I wear this aura ring, which I don't know if anyone
Hmm.
else wears aura ring, but finally I got like a crown on my sleep score, which hasn't happened in a really long time. And I'm like, man,
Sleep. What's that?
this health
you
stuff is
know.
really cool. Maybe I should maybe I
Yeah.
shouldn't put it off for like 5 months ever again.
Yeah. I had the wake up call because I have when I realized, and the thing is, there's times it might be you know days or weeks or maybe even months when you're an entrepreneur where you're going to have a season of hustle. But
Yeah.
then you got to have in there, just like you found out, of non-negotiable things that are just absolutes no matter what. They aren't negotiable.
Yeah.
And particularly when your kids start getting older and things like that, like my son actually checked me. Like, and he is incredibly smart for 10 years old, and he's very outspoken. And he took, and I was in the grind, in the hustle. Stuff was, starting to kick off. I had a whole bunch of things going on. And I realized more and more of should have been spending time with the family crept in. And I went to the meet the teacher night at the beginning of the school year, when he was in second grade, and they had a picture book. You were supposed to draw your family and things you like and stuff like that. Really great activity. And he introduced the family as it was a picture he drew of me. And I was like, oh, great. But it was me from behind sitting at my computer, introduced me to the whole class as my dad works a lot. I was like, okay, I'm a jerk. I literally almost like I know there was a shock look on my face to everybody sitting in the room as we're looking at these things.
Yeah.
And I literally walked out of the classroom, slacked my assistant, and said, anything after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, cancel it. Not happening.
Yeah.
And I will not, unless I know you and you're a good friend, not just the I kind of know you friend. Like I'm talking good friend. Jimmy, you're on that list. You can do this. You're
All
perfectly fine.
right. Sweet. Oh,
Sweet.
wait. Let me
I
I'm
do
going to
not.
as a good friend, I'm going to keep that in mind and never book anything with you after 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Boom.
But like, if it's business related, I don't take a call on a weekend ever. Things like that. And
Mhm.
I went up to him, came home, gave him the biggest hug, and said, "This is what I did. Thank you for letting me know I was not supporting you the way I needed to." And he gave me a big hug, and all of a sudden the balance came back. Sometimes we need a check from somebody,
Yeah.
and even my wife and I have the open-ended thing of like, if we realize the other one, like we're at dinner and they're on that phone way too much, I'm just gonna like, hey, And she was like, oh, dang it. Like, because it's like, it's so easy when we're so passionate about our businesses
Yeah.
to not realize that creeps. And like, I had a deadline coming up. I told my son, like, hey, I'm going to be banging out a few of the things extra in the evening for the next like week. So just so you know, then we're back to normal after that. And he was like, okay. But if your normal life becomes your hustle, then that's when you don't have a balance. And like, why the heck are we
Yeah.
doing this? We
Great.
all get into this for freedom.
Mm. Well,
So yeah.
man, dang. I had no idea we were gonna rip on that, and so it's great because a lot of the conversations that I've been able to have, especially like through this podcast and also with you, they end up there, like this sage life advice, and I'm really appreciative of that. Um, my I'm privileged to like have been home today and like had got to spend time with my son and like put him down for his nap and just like take care of him
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And I hold stuff like that extremely valuable. And I'm getting another boy. Like this is I it's everything to me. And so um I'm glad that I got this little like precursor warning that like, hey, you're obsessed with your business. Like
Mm-hmm.
don't let your kid draw pictures of you working from a laptop, you know?
No, it was a really good picture too. I knew exactly what it was. He had the webcam on there and everything. I was like, oh, dang it. It's like, ugh. And
Oof.
and that was actually, and it actually goes to the epiphany of why I started this whole business. I missed those moments because I was working a 9 to 5.
Mm,
Like our country has an awful policy for fathers when they become fathers and all of that. And not only do they miss out on the moments, they can't
yeah.
support their wives the way they should and all of
Yeah.
that. And that's one of the few public political things I stand on regularly. Is I'm just like, we're one of the only civilized countries in the world where like, hey, you got 2 weeks amigo, and after that it's unpaid. Good luck.
Yeah,
And
guess who's
yeah,
eating no pay? Me.
yeah,
I
yeah,
choose family. And someone brought it up the other day and I won't put them on blast or anything like you're really going to take a dent to your paycheck? I was like, You know what?
heck yeah,
It's my podcast. Fuck yeah, I am. That's my wife and
yep,
my baby, my new baby and my family.
yeah. And unfortunately, I was in a job that didn't pay that great. I was a teacher,
Right.
and that was part of the thing with me. The reason why I got out of that, because like for people who don't know, I was a teacher for over a decade. I actually taught technology education. Imagine that. I'm doing all this tech stuff, and I was a technology education teacher. And I kept getting asked to put everybody else's family above my own, and my family is number one. I put them first. I put my life before them. And I was constantly going, oh, you should do this after school thing for this. I'm like, but that's not my family time. But you should do it. I'm like, so it's like, okay, so I'm supposed to put somebody else's kid ahead of my kid. No.
Yeah.
And that they don't really like that too much.
No.
And also some of the, political things started filtering in and stuff like that I didn't agree with ethically or spiritually. And I was just like, I finally had the epiphany one day. I was literally sitting there in the car and I was staring at the steering wheel. I realized I'd been staring at for like 20 minutes because I just didn't want to go in the door.
In the
Like
door to your home
what
or in the door to your
in in
job?
in, in the door. I was sitting in my car staring at the steering wheel for 20 minutes, not wanting to walk in the door of the building because I didn't want to do
Right.
it anymore.
Yeah.
Mind you, I had some amazing students, and that's what
Oh,
kept me
for
there. Was
sure.
like, but like the amount of bad ones and the other things, and even with a great student, I'm still gonna put my family ahead of it. And I just said I can't do this. And that's when I started doing what every academic does. I started looking at you know, I started looking at books and things started popping up in my news feed and all of those things and went, okay. And that's where this whole course guy came from. As I saw courses, this was 2017 when I started getting the idea. I started doing it literally 2 full-time jobs. I was doing my consulting business plus I was teaching in 2018, and then in 2019 I went full time.
Yeah.
And I left. And the big man upstairs sometimes gives you those like nudges of like, hey, you did the right thing. I got mine when I put in my notice. I gave him 3.5 weeks, which in the U.S. is more than enough time for
Yep.
notice. and I got a 2 sentence email in reply after a decade being in the space, having students who have won awards at it, getting full rides in my curriculum to college, everything else, and I'm one of only a few thousand in the whole country with my certification. And I got a 2 sentence email that said, "Thanks for letting us know. Best of luck." That was it. No, how can we keep you? What did we do wrong? Can we talk about it? It was just like, okay, bye. That
Jeez.
was it. And mind you, the extra nail in the coffin was my wife happened to be working at the same school, and when they did and she worked one more year before she exited too, they didn't even acknowledge my existence afterwards. It's like, okay, I'm just a number on the sheet. I
Yeah.
did the right thing, and I got that email, and literally I could feel the upstairs go time,
Yeah. I mean,
and
what better
I yep,
permission, right? But
exactly.
like, yeah.
It was just like, okay, go, and I started hitting it hard and
Hmm.
never looked back.
Yeah. Okay, so you might have said it just a minute ago. What time period is this? Is this pre-COVID?
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
I went full time in 2019
Okay.
and in August of 2019, and it was and actually the funny thing is how the whole epiphany of how ended up I met you in this crazy journey of things was um I actually took and I just quit my job. I was making the equivalent of what I was making, as a teacher so I could leave and a little bit more. And then I saw this crazy guy jumping around on a ad video who talked insanely fast. And then it was this ad for this weird conference thing in Nashville, and it was called Funnel
Mm.
Hacking Live. And I told my wife, I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to go to this thing. And I was like, I might have just quit my job. It was $1,000 ticket, and I was just like, I'm waiting for the whole. Yeah, well, you're spending 1,000 on a say a what? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go sing. She just said go, because God bless my wife. She took even when I said I was gonna quit my job. I said, I think I'm gonna do it. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "Think it's gonna work?" I said, "Yep." And she looked me dead in the eye and went, "Do it." Because I had the
Man.
email written for 2 weeks and just didn't hit the go button. And so I booked the cheapest flights I could find, realized that the hotel was more expensive than I wanted to spend going to this thing.
Yeah.
So I booked the cheapest Airbnb I could find. It was a mile walk each way to the event. If you're at that event, it rained every single day. So I walked to and from FHL a mile each way in the rain. I snuck in through the loading dock most days, by the way, just FYI. And
Why?
because I was on behind the conference center, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
had to go all the way around to the front.
So it just got you out of the
So
rain
it
faster.
got me out of the rain faster, even though it was a mile.
Gotcha.
And I brought my food every day in my backpack, and because I was trying to, save every bit. And then again, sometimes God gives you that wake up of you did the right thing. I closed my first high ticket client at the event.
Yep.
I literally I was talking to him. He said, "I'd love for you to look over my program." And I was like, "Okay." Two in a couple of months of those big slap in the face. Hey, you did the right thing. Go time, baby.
Go time.
And then immediately following it, the entire world shut down, and
Can
everybody had
can
to
we
move
just
online.
can we take a pause really fast? And I also want to take the time to appreciate my wife because there's been several times where it's
100%.
like there's $1,000 program, we're gonna buy it, we'll buy it and do it together. Yes. Okay, there's this $3,000 thing, like is it gonna grow the business? Yes, no question. Like she trusts. And then even
Mm-hmm.
like there's some coaching that I've done, probably spent $12,000 on that, which has way more than paid off, like 10x paid off,
Yep.
just in the last year. And man, when I remember because we were on the way to we needed to drive an hour to an event, and I had the sales call and I had the sales call recording. And I just sat her in the back. I was like, "Hey, will you sit with the baby and like, will you just watch this video and like, if you get to the end, like, tell me what you think?" And she gets done watching it, and she's like, "So you're doing this, right?" And I was like, oh, thank God. Like, thank God for her, you know?
Yeah. Well, that was the thing is like, My wife was supportive of me, but utterly loathed anything business. We at that point we had run like while I was teaching, we had a travel agency actually
Oh,
that we did extremely well with. That was how because I was a career switcher into teaching. I was in the corporate world. I felt the calling to help some kids, so that was my way of helping kids. I did that for a decade, and I when I was and I realized I took the hit, so I'm like, how can I make up the difference? We love traveling. We'll have the summers off.
yeah.
And we actually grew one of the biggest travel agencies in the state of Virginia when we did it completely part time, using funnels. Actually, by the way, we had used sales funnels for it. We were like the only ones using funnels.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we had a nice janky funnel, and because the website they gave us was awful, and we did seven figures worth of bookings through that funnel, and
Yeah.
yeah. So what we did is when I was leaving, didn't like any of the business stuff, and I went to the event, and I came back. I was hyped up. I had shot some videos and and showed her and stuff like that. She was home with a toddler,
Hmm.
and I told her I'm like people way who have way less experience are making tons of money, and you have such a knowledge. She's a counselor, and she has a master in counseling, degree in sociology, all that. And I told her, I'm like, why don't you pull together a little offer, for this? Oh, I don't know. She saw the picture of it. I said, well, you're going because I bought you a ticket for next year. So, and
You might as well
that
start
was,
working on the offer now. That way,
yeah.
next year
So I,
you can pitch
yeah, I
people.
bought it for because you could do the second ticket at a discount for the next one. So I did.
Hmm.
And I said, even if you don't like this business stuff, or you'll be at a swanky hotel, you'll enjoy it. It'll be fine. She's like, fine, whatever. And so yeah, we took and I came back and we pulled her together a basic little offer for life coaching because I mean
Hmm.
she's a counselor, all that, like it's an easy direct fit. And we threw it together. I told her how to do some organic post and stuff. And she actually put it out there and she got her first appointment booked in less than 12 hours. And in 24 hours using a funnel, she actually made her first high ticket sale. And then she was like, wait, hold on a second. And then she consumed a whole bunch of books and was like, all of a sudden, I knew it had hit when she was like, we were sitting there, we were watching an ad. They're like, that's an upsell. And I was like, ha ha, you're one of us now. You've just noticed an upsell. And she's like, damn
Bingo.
it. Got it. And
Yeah.
so that's how she got involved with it. And she came in because she was a year behind, started in my progress. She left a year later, but again, and
Hmm.
built a business, completely offset her salary, and it all started
Yeah.
with the same thing, like one big, like oomph, like oh okay,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was that was the whole turn. So she was always supportive of me, but then became supportive of the business as well, and understanding investing in it and
Hmm.
programs and all of those things. And we've done them just like you two. We've done them together a lot of times.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best way to do it, right? Because like otherwise you're spending time apart and it's better if one of you is going to go down and do something, like coaching or a program, it's like
Yeah,
you might as well do it together. Um, hey, so I want to be respectful of your time, and especially because we just happen to be backing up to about 4 p.m. and you mentioned that 4 p.m. is kind of like your kids' time. So I want to be really respectful of your time, and I have a burning question for you that I can't let
go
go.
for it.
Um, I heard you're writing a book. Can you tell me
Yes,
about the book?
I am writing my first book, and it's called The Course Selling Playbook. And
Okay.
what it is what I always wished was out there for entrepreneurs, experts in their space to be able to finally build courses that not only sell but also get results for their clients, because that's one of the things that's like nobody really talks about in the the expert space are things like completion and implementation rates, and how you take all of that knowledge and bring it into a course. It's sort of like cursory, like, oh, if you're an expert, you can teach it. Well, really notice there's like two distinct areas. And from doing this for over a decade, I've all the way up to PhD hours in education. Like I was curriculum developer for the state of Virginia. I've worked in the corporate education world. is that entrepreneurs don't really realize there's like silos of people when they're building educational things. Like if you go to a corporate space, you have the subject matter expert who knows about it. Then you have a curriculum developer who helps take all that stuff and design it. And then you have training facilitators who then show how to actually teach it to everybody. And then in the entrepreneur space, it's, me, myself, and I as the team trying to put it together. And that's when you get people stuck in expert mode. That's when you get
Yeah.
these bloated programs that, they keep tagging on little things or they skip steps, and then the clients can't get the results. So the this is actually the my proof version of it. It's
Hang on, can
literally
you
step by.
put that front and center right here?
Yeah, it's like I can, but it's like not the actual front because it's just the crappy little text
So it's the
on here.
manuscript, right?
This is the manuscript, the actual table copy edition that has all the typos in it that I'm currently fixing.
And that's
The
the version that you're gonna put in a box and ship out to me for the first manuscript copy, right?
Yes, I will send you the janky version of it just so you can have the legit first run off of
I
my home
keep
printer. Yes.
I keep you might think it's funny, but I actually do keep when I got early copies of
Mm-hmm.
manuscripts of certain industry disrupting books, I keep the
Yes.
manuscript copies.
Yep. Exactly. And I always think that, by the way, anybody writing a book, it's something you should do for the people you respect. Like
Yeah.
send them the janky version. Like I have one from that same well-known entrepreneurial author of a certain one that's the table copy with a lot of errors in it as well.
Yeah.
It's like it's fun to see the evolution.
Yeah.
So I wanted one also where I'm not somebody who loves reading super deep, long-winded stuff. It's an easy read, lots of pop-out boxes. So even if you skim it, you're going to get a huge amount of results. So it has all of the frameworks we use in it, like how to transition from expert mode to educator mode,
Mm.
and then how to switch into marketer mode, because they're mentally three different things.
Yeah.
And because, like, if you're promoting yourself as your personal brand, you need to be in expert mode. You need to flex all of that. I'm in expert mode right now,
Oh, for
but then
sure.
if I need to teach all of this, I need to switch to educator mode, walking people through the process, showing them where the bumpers are, all of those things. And then, if I'm in marketer mode, they don't need to know the whole process. They just need to understand the value of it and how it's going to fix their problems. There's three distinct cycles you need to go
You
through.
almost need like three different hats for your customers to
Literally.
wear. That
Yeah,
should be the
literally you do.
upsell in the funnel is, or maybe like at some point down the line, because they need to read the book to even know that they want the hats, right? So
Yeah.
um yeah, man. Got some good ideas
Yeah.
brewing over here now.
It, exactly. And then I'm the signature solution we do for planning all of it. Because the thing is, also, if you design your course ahead of time, mind you, I'm not saying record everything, I'm saying it's designed ahead of time. What ends up happening is you have a ton of marketing materials. Like a lesson can be turned into a lead magnet or a video or a reel, things like that. Like you now have this whole archive of things you can go to build trust with your audience. So like we just talked about, you can give away a ton of value, but if it's not in a succinct format, they still need to buy the finished course. So it's what I call a book end build. And that's one of the crown pieces inside the book is basically the idea is you start first with what is the promised thing that you're going to get from the program or the individual course. A program is simply a collection of courses. So you could have a end result for all of the courses put together. It could just be a single one. It depends on how long your offer is.
Hmm.
And then you look at where is that ideal person entering? What's their knowledge base now? What are the things they've tried and have failed at? Like, where's the ideal person starting? Because it may not be from ground zero. Like I work with clients that some of them are coming in, they're already well established. They don't need to know the super basics. And then you build what are the big things in between? What are the big waypoints? Those are your modules. And then inside those modules, what are micro wins you can get those people? Like, what are the little needle movers along the way? So it's a whole process called our bookend build, and it's really unique in the way you can go about crafting a course because it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, and it will
Hmm.
completely eliminate the bloat inside your programs while
Yeah.
giving you over a year's worth of social content.
Yeah, this is actually so the bloat elimination that you talk about is actually like a key point in. So I also help people with transformation. Courses sometimes end up being that, or a course and community pair. But they're essentially building programs centered
Yep.
around effective transformation. And one of the things that I always tell people is like, you need to find your minimum effective dosage of
Hmm.
transformation. And when you launch and deploy, that's what you need to put out there for people to take action on, because anything else is just
Yep.
bloat. Like if you're wasting their time, you're wasting your time. They're going to have more questions. It might be useless.
Yep.
It might not actually contribute to any kind of effective transformation or change in your customer. This goes through health, this goes through wealth and relationships. If you can get straight to it, people will applaud and cheer for you if you can
Yep.
disseminate down all of the like or reduce down all of the nonsense and just give them like what they asked for in the beginning. They said yes and bought
Yep.
the thing that you promised in your transformation. Give it to them.
Yep. Yep, exactly. And it's getting them there as fast as they can. If it is something that takes longer, give them little waypoints along the
Mm,
way that they
yeah.
can rest, celebrate a little bit, things like that. Because people need, internally and externally, depending on the type of person, to know they're actually making progress forward. It's like
Yeah.
that's the same reason why so many people in entrepreneurship don't stick around that long, is because you're going to get these unicorns occasionally that, oh, they put out an offer and 60 days later they're on $1 million run rate. Yes, you're going to get the occasional. Those are unicorns. People win the lottery too. They won the entrepreneurial lottery.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it takes months, it takes years to start doing it, and they forget about the little wins along the way.
Yeah.
So, like, even inside programs, particularly mindset programs, like, it doesn't necessarily have a tangible outcome, but you still can celebrate those little wins along the way. And that's part of when you're crafting a program. It doesn't take any longer. It's just the difference between what those who've been the marketers who've been promoting how to create online courses and how an educator would go about it. It's very different.
Right.
And that's what I saw, and how I got into this space was I realized that there's such a difference to it. And also, part of the thing is that just because you're a great educator on it doesn't mean you know how to market it. In fact, normally the best people at what they do end up having the hardest time marketing it because they're too close to it. They
Right.
overlook the simple stuff. Like, I when I first got into this, like, I walked in, it was one of my first times I actually got to speak in front of a big group of people. They were all, 7-figure entrepreneurs, all of that. And I said to them for a second, and I said the word curriculum. It's like when you're designing your curriculum for this, I could see everybody's eyes go, whoo, because they didn't understand it fully what it was. And I'm like, okay, because I'm really good at reading rooms.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, I was like, oh, hold on a second. For those of you who, don't know what I'm saying, they're like, oh, okay. Because they all had the wrong idea of it. So it's
Yeah.
just like, you have to be able to read your type of audience, things like that. That's what educators do. Just like somebody who's great at stage sales, they can see, are they emotionally connecting with this? Aren't they emotionally connecting with this? Are they nodding? Things like that. Educators do the same thing, just with a different modality of what they're doing.
Mm, nice. Yeah. Man, that I mean, good catch, right? Because like
Mm-hmm.
that's probably not a word that they use
No,
on a regular
no,
basis. They probably say like the stuff in my course, right?
yeah, or our outline or framework or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like curriculum's just a framework on steroids.
I actually
That's all it
think
is.
of like the curriculum. It makes me think of like starting the school year and the syllabus and make sure you get a signature on it
Yeah.
from you and your parents. This is the
Yeah,
curriculum we'll be going
exactly.
over. Like that's what that word takes me back to. And if I'm at an entrepreneurial event, like, I'm there to like, like excitement, energy, marketing, make money, like
Yep.
entrepreneurship, business. And it's like school word. Ooh, ooh.
Yeah, and most of us were not huge fans of school. So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, and that's part of the thing of understanding, things you can't, and like even when you're building programs, things you can and can't say to your audience. That's like a big part of it, is
Hmm.
understanding that whole piece, just like things you can and can't say in marketing. They aren't necessarily the same thing,
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know? Like if you're building a sales funnel, you need certain types of words and copy on it. But once you get past that paywall, the language changes. If you still continue to use the marketing copy, you aren't going to get a good result.
Hmm. Yeah. Put the different hat on, right?
Yeah, you have to switch hats because you're
Absolutely.
switching from marketer to mentor, and those are very different things. You already sold it to them. You can build upsells and things into programs, but you have to do it in a certain way. Because that's a continuity sale, so it's not a front end sale.
I have a hard time turning my branding brain off sometimes, and so I definitely just saw it just on a shirt from like marketer, arrow, mentor. Go from marketer to mentor. Like,
Yep.
oh man,
Yeah,
dude. Okay,
exactly.
so I want to know, and before we hop off the line here, just like a little bit of like future casting, vision casting, and stuff like that. What does the next couple of years, maybe even like 2 or 3 years of you, Josh, and then like your personal brand, Josh Brown, the course guy, and maybe even like with the book and the business and everything, what do the next 2 or 3 years of like life and business look like for you? And maybe even in this new AI driven reality of 2025 and beyond, like what do you see for yourself in the business going forward?
Well, for us, the big thing is getting this book launched, and I'd love to, and we're gonna self publish it because we've done routes of big house publishing and stuff like that, and it's not. I want to keep full control of it.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to roll up a truck of cash and I keep rights and we talk, sure, cool. But other than that, that's the big piece. And with the program we're launching as well, our goal is to have 10,000 people partake in the program. That's the big thing
Wow.
because I want to disrupt the industry. Because there's so many amazing experts out there that just haven't been able to get their voice out, and I want to have them have a voice in the space. And a lot of them just need the ability to get it seen and heard and be able to stop having fear of the imposter syndrome. Should I be able to do this and those types of things. That's what this whole thing comes from. And as far as my personal brand goes, it just keep building it like we are now. Being I want to be recognized in more circles as the expert in online education for
Mm.
entrepreneurs. We deal across multiple spectrums. We deal with B2B, we deal with B2C. We've done corporate training, all of that, and we just want to disrupt the industry because it's a new age, and also in the realm of AI, it's a very slippery slope because in the space, AI is something that can be used for good or evil. And particularly in the expert space, if somebody's buying a product from you and they're entrusting you as the expert, and then it was 100% crafted with AI, that's a sham. It's
Yeah.
just like if you didn't provide the framework and the basis and all of those things, then had a ghostwriter write all of it, or you had under a nom de plume or whatever. That is not your work. It's plagiarizing others' work. It doesn't mean you can't use it in a creative fashion.
But
Like,
you should have integrity and at least disclose it like this is written
yeah,
based off of stuff that I've done in the past and someone else wrote it,
yeah,
but here it is laid bare for you. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
just be honest and transparent.
hmm And I tell people if like you are going to use it to help craft your course and things like that, treat it like a writing assistant or a research assistant.
Mm.
It's still your work because it's no different than any of the big entrepreneurs or writing houses or publishers or anything else that have a team of writers and research assistants. It's just a matter of you have to use it in an ethical fashion that the vast majority of what you're doing is crafted by you. That's really the big piece with it. It doesn't mean you
Yeah.
can't use it to help proof your stuff or find research points or things like that. It's just a matter of if you go in and like I'm going to write a book, I'm going to do a new course on sales funnels, even though I'm mediocre at best at them. Because I'm saying that Jimmy could write his book on funnels because he's great like that. No pressure. Is I'm not an expert in it, but then I get all of the expert information from ChatGTP and the other AIs, and I say I'm an expert on funnels, and I wrote this book. Like that's unethical. But if you're using it to take your own novel knowledge and just amplifying it with AI, that's within the scope of most people. in this space. So
Mhm.
that's one thing we're also promoting. And like my skin crawls every time I see all of those people promoting how to create courses and sell them super cheap on AI with, on
Yeah.
Instagram that they have no
$27 AI
actual knowledge,
courses. Yeah. Hmm.
or just shotgunning out all these courses that they have no actual knowledge on. They just 100% AI created, and they're throwing them up on Pinterest and Instagram, and all of a sudden I'm an expert on yoga this week, and I throw a yoga course. I know nothing about yoga. Like
Yeah.
ChatGPT made me an expert. Like that. Those are the unethical uses of them, and they always will be. But it can be used for good or evil. Because like even inside the program we're crafting, I've developed some AI bots and agents to help people like clarify what they're doing. Like that's no different than if you sat with a think tank of people
Yeah.
helping you clarify it. Like that's
Yeah.
within the scope, but like you just have to be careful. It's a slippery slope.
Mm. I love it. Okay, man. Well, so this is great. So you've got the book. Look forward to a lot of the growth of your brand. Is there anything else that you're like looking forward to, or something that's really exciting? Maybe here in like the second half of the year, Q3, Q4. Anything awesome?
For us, the big thing is we're just gearing up to get this ironed out and launched, and because that's the next season of our business. We've been doing the majority of it agency and consulting,
Oh, okay.
and this is able to help more people. And we're gonna have a community with the program and all of that. So
Hmm. All right, love it.
that's just the big thing. I like to stay
Info,
very focused
education,
on one thing at a
community. Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Which a little side note: if you have a peer groups with your programs, there's a 40% higher engagement rate. Just FYI.
Can I
So
find
just
that
to let you know.
stat in the book?
Yes, you can.
Nice. I love it. Okay, awesome, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on the line today. This has been super amazing. Sorry I took you a little past 4, but I think it was definitely worth it getting to
But
talk about like all this amazing stuff.
as I said, sometimes it's flexible for people we like and respect. So
Yeah, awesome, dude. I appreciate you. So, hey, I made this podcast to connect humans with humans and help make better humans. So, what is the best way for somebody who listened here through to the end to get connected with you?
connect with me across all social platforms. It's JK Brown Official on every platform.
Nice. I love it. Okay, cool. All right, Josh, thank you so much for coming on the Better Humans podcast. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will see you all on the next episode. See ya.